Hey, Alan, can you hear me okay?
How's this look? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good.
Okay,
There's
great.
people already joining early, so they're on the
Good.
call. So we'll just wait a little bit. How's my audio? You hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Any background noise or I'm good?
There's background noise.
Yeah, hold on a second. All right, you hear me good now?
Yes.
Excellent.
Did you send Julie that invite?
Julie.
I sent you a little email. If you could send Julie Vanderblue an invite.
Okay, I'll let Katerina know.
All right.
All right, welcome everybody. We're going to get started in about 6 minutes. A lot of people joining in. Thanks for being here. This is an important webinar. We've got Allan Dalton on the line. Welcome, Allan. I'll give you a
Thanks
proper
for
introduction.
having me. Hi,
No
everybody.
problem. Do a proper introduction once we hit the hour at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. In the meanwhile, take care of any business you need to take care of, and we'll get started exactly at 12 o'clock. In the meanwhile, for those of you joining early, let us know where you're tuning in from, what brokerage you're with. We are going to get started at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time with Allan Dalton, former CEO of realtor.com. Just released a book called Buyer Agent Be Aware. I'll do a proper introduction at 12 o'clock. But this is what every buyer agent must know and do in a post-disrupted real estate world. It's going to be an amazing conversation. I've been having conversations with Allan for months, and finally we put this together. His book is released on Amazon. We'll talk about that as well. I've bought the book. We are mentioned in the book, and the book is a playbook that you need to have. It's a must own. So we'll get into that, but I'd love to know where you're tuning in from, what brokerage you're with, and what actually drew you, what attracted you to register for this. What do you want to learn about what's going on with buyer agents, with the buyer disclosure forms, with commission conversations, understanding your buyer agent value? What kind of questions do you have? If you want to start putting them in the chat, Allan and I can answer those throughout the webinar here. But this is going to be power packed. This is an important conversation. This is the conversation. I was actually just in a presentation yesterday with Kevin Sears, president of the National Association of Realtors. He was talking about navigating this new industry change. And there's a lot going on in the industry, for sure. Awesome. Still see people joining in. We'll be getting started at 12 o'clock. Allan, anything you want to say before we get started?
No, I'm just saving my powder.
Good. Awesome. We got Ronald from Boca Raton, Florida with Douglas Elliman. I think I met you, Ronald. We got Amelia Lelong from Miami, Florida. We got Terry Dominguez from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Florida Realty, Coral Gables. 34 years in the industry. You've seen a lot of changes. Ira Kelly Henry from Miami, Florida, Berkshire Hathaway EWM. We got Amelia from Lux Properties LLC. We got Frank from Toronto, Canada with eXp Realty. Amazing. We got an international presence on here now. Welcome, Frank. And don't be shy. Put your questions in here. What do you want us to cover on this webinar? What kind of questions do you have about the industry changes? What kind of questions do you have about buyer agency, about buyer agent value? We got Joe Suarez from Sarasota, Florida, Better Homes and Gardens. We got Jeffrey from Cape Cod, William Ravis Realty. Hopefully I pronounced that right. William Ravis Realty, I believe it is. Karen from Coldwell Banker in Glenview, Illinois. Awesome. We got people from all over the country, Allan, waiting to hear what you have to say. This is going to be amazing. This is being recorded. We will distribute the recording as well, and we'll get started in just a minute. So if you're just joining in, comment in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from, what brokerage you're with. We're about to get started with Allan Dalton. Welcome, Patty from Clearwater, Florida, Coldwell Banker Realty. Welcome, Mary Elise Rupert, a good time fan from Coach Realtors in Long Island. Mary Kraus, United Real Estate Infinity. Excellent. Well, it's 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Let's get started on time. Thank you for joining, everybody. This call will be recorded, so we will release the recording as well. And let me just stop sharing my screen so we can get into a conversation here. So today we have with us Allan Dalton. Allan Dalton and I have been having conversations for several months. He just released an amazing book that is on Amazon called Buyer Agent Be Aware. Let me give you a little background on Allan. What impressed me about Allan is the way he speaks, first of all. You'll notice it in the conversation today that we have. He's quite the wordsmith. He has a great view on the real estate industry. He's been witnessing all the changes over the years. He witnessed the recent changes, and he was inspired to write this book that he's been working on for several months in order to help all of you with this new conversation that you're having around commissions, this new conversation around buyer agent value. Let me read a little bit of bio on Allan Dalton. He was serving as the CEO of Real Living Real Estate, Senior Vice President of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. He is now a consultant. He is the former CEO of realtor.com. Longtime expertise in marketing. Dalton has impacted both real estate brands in many ways and online marketing. He's really impacted a lot of different areas of the industry. And he's got a keen knowledge on various different brands, how they work, how it's working for all of you, how the industry has changed. He's also a former Boston Celtics draft pick, continues to play basketball. And I was really excited to bring you on, Allan, because our community, this is all I hear. I go to real estate offices basically every day, and I hear all of this chaos, confusion, uncertainty. What's going to happen with the new NAR settlement? How is this all going to work out? How should I talk about it? How should I play this? And when you told me that you were writing this book and it was basically going to become a playbook for everybody, a step-by-step playbook, I was really intrigued. And the more we had conversations, I'm like, this is so spot on. Everybody needs to hear this. I've completely changed the way that I talk about this with the industry. It's in alignment with what's going on with the National Association of Realtors. And it's really, it was inspiring to see you take this on and the amount of dedication and commitment you put into this book that just got released on Amazon called Buyer Agent Be Aware. I went and got the book immediately the day you told me it went live. I got it from Amazon. I read it on the plane. It was an easy read, but it was also a workbook, a playbook, a series of steps, a series of conversations to be had with your clients that I think everybody needs to get a hold of. I think you all need to consider looking at this book. And once you hear Allan speak, you will hear what I'm saying. So welcome, Allan. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time with our audience. We all appreciate you. And let's talk about this.
Thank you very much, Alex, for that very kind and overly generous introduction. And good day, everybody from around North America, as we have somebody from Canada, the great country of Canada as well. Yes, it's interesting. This morning I saw on the television that none other than the Pope is going to be addressing the G7 on the dangers of AI, of artificial intelligence. Who would have thought growing up that the Pope would be discussing artificial intelligence and the latest technology? That comes as a massive surprise to the world. And I think these lawsuits came as a massive surprise because I don't think anybody 2 or 3 years ago could have foretold that as of in the upcoming months, that MLSs will no longer be a vehicle for sellers through their seller agent to be able to compensate buyer agents. And now that buyers will have to be able to show value to the buyer commensurate with their negotiating fees. And I think, first of all, a lot of people are focusing on the lawsuits were all about that in other countries fees were less, and that there was a suspicion that fees were negotiated, which were not negotiated, which I completely refute, and that there was some type of conspiracy, which I don't think there ever has been. But what they showed is that, like, for example, in one state, the overwhelming percentage of home sellers paid the same fee. And then also another predicate of the lawsuits was that they think that buyer agents are being overpaid. Okay. Yet perhaps another way of looking at these lawsuits, it wasn't just that the people think that the fees were too high. That must also mean that people don't think the value is high enough. And the reason that I undertook a 5-month research project, and by the way, my background also includes personal brokerage. It also includes being president and co-owner of a company we built from nothing to 60 offices, and so forth and so on. And being CEO of Realtor.com, I had an opportunity to work with brokerages throughout the country and in Canada as well. And so from that perspective, I took the 5 months to forensically evaluate what was going to be required for buyer agents to flourish, to be able to manifest and convey indispensable, irreplaceable value. Because the industry has a 70-year head start on expressing listing side value over buying side value. And even though, ironically, every transaction was symmetrical in the fact that there was both a buyer or a seller, without question, the greater focus within the industry, especially amongst top producers, was on listing side value. So, for example, we all heard expressions like listings are the name of the game. Did we hear buyers are the name of the game? Not so. If you don't list, you don't last. Did we hear if you don't work with buyers, you don't last? No. So now the industry, unexpectedly, within a couple of months, has to be able to manifest the value on the buying side commensurate with the seller side. So in the book, Buyer Agent Be Aware, there's 20-something chapters on how to maximize buys at open houses. Everybody does open houses, but that doesn't mean everybody's bringing the right content. We still have agents asking people to sign in at open houses, which no one wants. We still have visitors to open houses writing their name that you can't read it. We have visitors to open houses writing false names and not giving up their contact information and not being overwhelmed with the professionalism of the real estate agent who is there. According to research, 3 to 7% of people, only 3 to 6% rather, of people who visit open houses are actually going to buy that house. That means they're all candidates for subsequent buyer agent contracts. But that's going to require skill, education, and a different approach to the consumers. We talk about CRMs, AI, how to use artificial intelligence on the buying side, how to make sure that your CRM doesn't just mean a contact management system, because if there was do not be contacted by Realtors Registry, the consumer would sign up for it. It's going to become a content management system. And moreover, it's going to be a client management system. We talked about how to get new construction buyers, co-brokerage. Instead of talking about first-time buyers, which is a misnomer, because 95% or more of first-time buyers are actually renters. We talk about creating your rent-to-buy assistance program and first-time buyer assistance programs, because we're going to have to show more value to buyers and get them from renters to buyers so they see greater value in buyer agent representation. We talk about relo buys, resort buys, luxury buys. In fact, I just did a post on Unique Homes. It's on their blog about how luxury buyers can no longer be a luxury. We talk about buying systems, community videos, buyer divisions, social media, the content you're going to need for buyers, how important Real Grader is, that you're going to have to assess your value with buyers explicitly, and much, much more. But the area that I want to focus on the most has to do with the buyer presentation, but it begins with a mindset. So in addition to these 27 chapters or whatever it is, I put in a pre-introductory bonus that has to do with agent mindset, okay? Because the industry has been saying the same things for the last 50 years. And most consumers have developed antibodies to almost everything they hear from our industry. And we're still dealing with these calcified cliches that completely undermine realtor value. So, Alex, would you like me to give a little sense of some of these mind shifts that I should change? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, before you get into that, just one of the things the thing that hit me the hardest on this whole change in the industry is my mom was a realtor, as you know.
Yep.
And back in the day, I would watch my mom. She kind of was like the queen. She had the keys to the castles. She was the only person that could get you in the door, and she had this big book of listings, right? So you had to go through a realtor. You had to know a realtor. My mom was highly respected, and then all the data went online, and now it became like you could search for a property, then you just had to find a realtor to get you in the property. And my mom became the commodity versus the property being the commodity, right? And I think what we're having now is a shift again back to realtor centric, where it's we go back to the trusted real estate professional, the agreement is in place. People are going to shop around with you after they sign an agreement. Your online presence is going to matter because now more than ever, they're going to search and evaluate every real estate agent before they go into contract with them. And I think that's like a major shift in the industry. And for those that are veterans in the industry, they're actually welcoming this. They're like, yeah, okay, now we're going to have professionalism on both ends. Now we're going to have buyer and seller agreements. Now it's going to be respect back to the realtor. I mean, you can't get medicine from a doctor without a prescription, right? You can't get medicine without a doctor. So you shouldn't be able to get a property without a realtor. So I look forward to this conversation, but I just want to bring that in because that was something that bothered me. Is my mom would show somebody 30 houses and then they end up using somebody else, and that's not
Amen.
going to happen.
And before I give some of this free introductory bonus of some mind shifts, let me also say that in the book I have case studies of some of the most successful realtors. Okay, one is the one and only Julie Vanderbilt, who did herself $150 million of volume last year, 50% on the buying side, because she approaches the buyer in a way that I haven't seen other agents in the North America do. For example, during COVID, Alex, a lot of people were leaving cities for the suburbs, yet she's the only agent in the world that I saw. She established the urban to suburban division. Okay. The urban to suburban divisions, where she went into Manhattan, created relationships, she had packets. And then when she's talking to home sellers and she can ask, where do you think the buyers are going to be coming from? And they say, well, I think a lot from the city. Well, that's why I've created the urban to suburban division. So all of her divisions are in the book, all of the links. For example, every agent would like to get people that are going through a divorce. They don't want anyone to go through a divorce, but they want to get that business. So she set up the divorce and separation division. She's got a senior lifestyle division because she's a consumerist, because everything begins with having the proper definition of marketing. Marketing means first determining the unmet needs of the marketplace and then creating goods and services to effectively respond to those needs. So going back to my brokerage day, and these are a lot of things that Julie also did, I asked myself, what are the needs of the marketplace? Well, people are first-time buyers, but they're early renters. I created the rent-to-buy assistance program. People are moving up. I created the move-up system. People are downsizing by design, okay? And so in other words, we're going to have to provide greater value as opposed to waiting till people just come through the funnel in my pipeline. We've got to get to them years before they get into a pipeline, and that's going to mean we're going to have to change our mindset. So my pre-introductory bonus on Mindship, let me give you just a few of the dozens and dozens of shifts, okay? First of all, Alex, we actually have agents in 2024 who are still using the words my listing presentation. Yet there's not a person in the world, there's not a home seller in the world that wants a listing presentation. They all want marketing proposals. But there's at least one person on the Zoom call that may be thinking, oh, that's semantics. It isn't semantic. If you actually think you are making a listing presentation, that's what you're gonna make. A listing presentation is about you. A marketing proposal has more value. It's about them. A listing presentation is performative. A marketing proposal is collaborative. We still have realtors who say the biggest reason a home doesn't sell is because it's overpriced. That's horrible. The only reason a home doesn't sell is because of ineffective marketing, because price is part of marketing. Because if somebody goes through their career actually thinking the biggest reason homes don't sell is because of overpriced, they're basically stripping out all of their value. They're stepping on their own air hose. They're reducing their significance because, again, to be deliberately redundant, if the only reason a home doesn't sell is because of price, that means the only reason the home does sell is because of price. And that means realtors have essentially no value. We still have 99.99% of the agents in North America actually saying this, Alex. Get a load of this one. I've got to do a better job of staying in touch with my past clients. Even in some of these CRMs, they use the words past clients. It's incredible. If somebody is their past client, that means they're what? They're past agents. No one should ever, and words matter because language is the clothing of ideas. So if somebody's actually using the lexicon, my past clients, they're going to treat people that way. And then if they're a past client, that means before a transaction, they can't be a client because we're defining the word client transactionally. And so if somebody's a past client, that means that they can't ask people they first meet, I'd like you to become my client until they're ready for a transaction. And therefore, because that's their mindset, they end up like this. These are my onesies. These are my twosies, because that's what my coach tells me. Who's your daddy? Okay. These are my onesies. These are my twosies. These are my hots. These are my colds. So it's not, don't ever treat your, people have been told this. Treat your business like a business. That's wrong. Treat your business like a professional practice. This isn't semantics. A business has customers. A practice has clients. That's why doctors, lawyers, financial planners, after 20 years, they make millions selling their practices, and realtors can't because every coach has been telling them, you got to treat your business like your business. Oh my God, let me write that down. What a genius. Geez, thank you. I thought this was volunteer work. We're still having agents talking about databases. I could have the largest database here in Connecticut next month. I could buy the voter registration rolls for the Republican and Democratic parties, and I could walk around town as proud as a peacock, but in 2 months, I might be a feather duster. You've got to upgrade databases to client bases. You can't justify your value, and this is going to lead into the buyer presentation. You can't justify your value based on service, okay? In fact, I've said to agents over the years, including many of my own, if I went to, and again, all fees are negotiable, as I've always said in my entire career, and as have you, Alex, all fees are negotiable. And so if I were to say to an agent, what's your fee? Let's say they came up with a number, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it was. I'll pick 5, just for arbitrary. But again, they're all negotiable. And if I said, okay, what's your fee? And they said 5%. And I said, well, the other company said they'd do it at 4. There's actually realtors who have said this, but I give better service. Okay. Now, first of all, is there any agent in history who's ever said, by the way, folks, just so you know, I give horrible service? So it's like, it's lame, right? But let's say somebody said that to me. No, so let's say I had $1 million home. I said, well, so my home is $1 million and your fee's this and you're going to give great service. I don't have a son, so I'll use it as an example. My son has a $100,000 home. What will you charge him? 5%. Will you give him the same great service? Of course. Now let me ask you this, Alex. Why do I have to pay this? Why do I have to pay 10 times as much for the same great service, the same great personal service? Okay. Does the facility sign cost 10 times as much? Does it take exactly 10 times as long to make? See, that's where the industry has a challenge because you can no longer justify value on service. It has to be on skills. So I'd reduce that from 5 to 4, not a percentage, because that could be 15 to 16%. All we're talking about is 1 point. My negotiating fee is worth at least 1 point. And to you, that's worth $10,000. To your son, it's $1,000. The reason I'm getting in there is because agents for the first time should take out a circle. This exercise is in the book because this is a playbook people will be using for years and years. Trust me, as you know from seeing it, not an exaggeration. It's a playbook, okay? It's a resource with exercises and links and QR codes. And so one of the examples is this. Draw a circle and figure out what percentage of your value to buyers is because of your service, what percentage is because of the services you arrange, and what percentage is because of your skills. Because skills are the most valuable. And when I get to the presentation now, I'm going to show you how in this buyer presentation, one of its kind, I'm not delusional, okay? I'm not a braggart, okay? I'm not an egotist. This is the best, if not the only presentation I've seen in the industry that shows value because I had a 5-month head start and that's what I do, okay? And I call it the 7 A's of buyer agent value. Now, I have some of my clients, and for those of you that would like me to work with you, I'll give you my email. It's Allan, Allan, Dalton, Dalton, consulting, consulting, at gmail.com. But here's what we have to do. And here's how this program works. Okay, first of all, I like to ask a lot of agents, who do you think has more value to their client, a buyer agent or a seller agent? A lot of people
Let's just pause. Sorry, Alan, I just want to interrupt you. Just want to pause for a second because you just covered a lot. And before we get into the 7As, I just want to kind of recap and hear some of the biggest takeaways from people listening in.
Please and thank you.
And a couple of big takeaways for me is, first of all, it's not about the price, because the price is part of your marketing plan, right? It's not a listing presentation. It's a marketing proposal. That's a huge shift, right? Because a listing presentation is just about the listing itself. The marketing plan is the value you're going to bring to them, and that price is a part of that marketing plan. The other thing that always stood out in when I hear you speak is this concept of past clients. And it really got me thinking, even in my own business, is everybody I speak to is my client. Whether they're buying or selling with me, they're my client because I'm providing them value, whether it's through social media, it's through my conversations, it's through my expertise and experience. Why not invite your clients to be your clients right from the first conversation? Like, you may not be looking to buy or sell today, but I want to be your realtor for life. I want to be your realtor for life. I want to be the person you ask questions about your local community. I want to be the person you ask questions about thoughts you have on the industry. I want to be your person you ask questions about mortgage rates. I want to be your guy or girl for real estate, right? Like, I want to be the person for you. I want to be that expertise. And that's where the true value is. Like, we're putting all this emphasis on other things that we think are value, but the real value is you. The real value is your experience, your expertise. When you work with me at my company, you're not just buying my team or the things we do. It's all the years of practice. It's all the mistakes we've made and learned from. It's all the experience we put into our business. It's the playbook. It's the processes. It's like 20 years of knowledge and experience that there is no price on. There is no price on 23 years of me in the industry. And for how many years you're in the industry, Alan, there's no price on that. Like, you can't put a dollar sign to that. You can't put a commission number to that. And that's the difference of mindset that I heard in you that really shifted my thinking and my mindset. And I just really want to get everybody to get a taste of that, like, put in the chat, like, what's your biggest takeaway from what you've heard so far before we get into the 7As, because that's going to blow your mind. But what I've heard so far, it was a lot, and I just want to make sure it lands for people.
Well, Alex, that's a great summary. I'm going to actually try to explain when you said, what's my value? I would say this: all of my value basically is in this book. And it's the crying shame that I can't charge $10,000 a book. But do you know why I'm not charging $10,000 a book, Alex? Because no one would pay it. So it's only $30. But anyway, let's get to this. We have a good sense of humor. Okay?
Well, the other thing is, I think you really want to reach a lot of people. You want to help a lot of people, right?
You can see my passion. This has been my life. I want to give back. Okay. Thanks, Susan, for that. Okay. Now let's talk about setting up your value with the buyer. Okay. So when I ask people who has more value, a lot of agents start out, well, the seller agent. Some say the buyer, some say it's even. I think it's easier to make a case that the buyer agent has more value. Let's break it down. But see, if we don't, and like Goethe, the existential philosopher, once said, in order to do something, you must be something. And there's companies out now that are starting to advertise, attention buyers, you don't need a buyer agent. Our listing agent will help you, because a listing agent can end up maybe helping without representing and getting a little extra point. And you're going to have more unescorted buyers coming to open houses. So because the buyers have never expected, for the most part, with few exceptions, that they're going to be paying a fee, we have to do even more to show greater value, because they're not anticipating this, okay? That's why I made a science out of this, okay? So because, okay, let's take who has more value. Who do you think has to have more knowledge of the market? The buyer agent or the seller agent? Clearly the buyer agent. Who has to have more value of construction? The buyer or the seller? Clearly the buyer agent, okay? Who arranges more services, mortgage title? The buyer agent. Who spends more personal relationship and serves as an emotional buffer on transactions? the buyer agent even more. Okay. So, and then the negotiating is the same. They spend more time, and on both sides, no one's getting a penny unless the consumer gets the result they want. And it's all their investment to get this, and all fees are negotiable. It's just that the buyer doesn't have a history of accepting it. Now, when agents say, well, I've been working with buyers for years, that's completely different than getting them to sign in a contract and to agree to compensation. That's a whole different animal. And just like somebody's not going to go to the home seller and in the first minute say, by the way, my fee is this, now let's move on. You're not going to start off with the buyer. You have to first establish value. But not only do you have to establish value, you have to establish trust. Okay. Now, there's 3 dimensions to showing value. One, I'm going to go over my guaranteed buyer representation plan. This is because no buyer agent can guarantee a result. You can only guarantee a methodology. Just like if you go to the hospital, okay, there's the patient's bill of rights. That doesn't get into how your surgery is going to go, the result, but there's certain things that they commit to ethically to having to do. And that's what we have to. So you can have a buyer guarantee about the things that you will do that are unavoidable, that everybody does, but with better packaging it. Okay, so that's one thing. And for those of you who want to email, I can help you with this. Or I'll give you my cell phone, 805-338-8796. 805-338-8796. Okay. Then the other thing is, many years ago, 35 years ago, I created the home buying system. Now, this is a system. This is for a company, because should a consumer, no matter which agent in that company, should there be a fundamental level of value and standardization. So that's a system. This is a home buying system, because systems trump plans. People in prison have a plan to escape, but the prison has a system to keep them there. I don't want to buy an anti-lock brake plan. So that's it. And then out of these two, some people have buyer's guides. Some people will put together a buyer plan. Some people want to think, well, I do a buyer consultation. Guess what? I love consulting. I am a consultant, but a consultation is not enough, because you've been doing consultations for years, because most of the consultation is going through their needs, their wants, to this and that. It wasn't presenting value. It's almost like you have to even first be hired to even do the consultation. Thus, the 7 A's of buyer agent value. And here's how it works in general terms. And the beauty of this is that you can fundamentally change this and integrate this with your value points.
And hopefully you're all picking up on this. Like I keep hearing this trend in what you're saying, Allan, in what successful realtors have done is they've created systems, they've created programs, they've put their name and stamp on something that is unique to them, that they're providing value for the customer that's unique in the industry, right?
Yes.
So I think everybody should be thinking about them for themselves, is like, what is your system? What is your program? What is unique to you? What's your 8-point framework? What's your, you know what I mean? Like this is a very useful marketing plan.
And Alex, it's you talk about systems, okay? The industry might not have survived in the way that it has, for example, if it wasn't for the MLS. But it's the MLS system. It isn't the MLS plan. IDX is a system. It's the Real Grader system, okay? Social media and reputational assessment system, okay? And the influence you're having. It's an influence gauge, okay, that Real Grader does. These are systems. Chalk Digital is a system. It's all about, so in other words, you have to have different layers of value. You should want your company to have a home buying system, just like if I go into any McDonald's, I'm going to get a Big Mac, it's going to be the same. But then every individual has to provide their own individual value. And the individual value is what will be within the 7 A's. But the 7 A's is the structure. And I've made a science out of it. So let me go over the 7 A's. First of all, at some point in time, you might want to say to the home, and forgive me, this is going to be presentation oriented, and this part's going to be less of an interview, not that I haven't been talking too much already anyway, because I'm trying to give you this very valuable information I've researched and put together for you. Okay, so I might start with Alex. I see him in the afternoon. He's in the office. I'll go, Alex. By the way, I'd love to be out there right this minute looking at properties here within this region, because it's such a beautiful area. And congratulations, you're being relocated here. It's 1 in a million of places to live. But we can't go out to look at properties yet, according to our ethics, our new ethics, until and unless we agree to work together. So I have to ethically and maybe even legally go over the way I would be representing you. Okay, may I do that? Okay, yes. Okay, first, great. Okay, and then we can get right out there. Now, Alex, let me ask you this. And I'm going to ask questions, then I'm going to explain why I asked the question this way. The first question I'm going to ask is based on this. What percentage of buyers do the people in the Zoom meeting think have a deep appreciation for the value of a buyer agent right now? Almost none, because they've never had to be confronted with it. Okay. One of the reasons because they can look for properties themselves right now. They can go to open houses themselves. They may think they can arrange for a mortgage and so forth and so on. So you have to work that to your advantage by asking this question. Alex, let me begin by asking this. What do you expect from me as your buyer? What would you expect from me as your buyer agent? Now, you ask that question because they'll never explain all that you're going to do. So after they answer, you can say, that's great. Yeah, I do all that, but I do a lot more. Or you might say, depending on your feelings, Alex, that's great that you expect that, but with all due respect, I don't think you're expecting enough. Oh, that's great that you recognize that, but with all due respect, we do a lot more than that. That's a great way to begin, because you want to begin presentations by asking questions, because that establishes confidence, control, and it makes it collaborative, just like I train on the marketing side. Okay, folks, tonight I brought some pricing strategies as well as some marketing strategies. Would you like to begin with either the price or the marketing? This ensures that no one's ever going to say, can we just get to the price? And when you ask the question like that, it gives you permission to explain it, because people aren't even ready to hear anything like this yet. So you've got to scientifically prepare them and tenderize them to want to hear what you have to say. So that's step one. Alex, what do you expect? With all due respect, we have to do a lot more than that. And that's why we put together the 7 A's of buyer representational value. Here are the 7 A's. I hand the sheet, or I hand the brochure. I'm working with different companies and agents. Okay. As you can see, we're put into 7 A's so it can be easy to follow. And I can go through this very briefly. But again, ethically, I must go through this. Okay. I have to disclose this. Alex, the first A is agency. What that means is that you and I will be as one. See, there's 3 different forms of agency, basically. There's seller agency, where somebody represents solely the home seller. There's buyer agency, where somebody represents solely the buyer. And then there's dual agency, where somebody doesn't represent technically either, but they're working with both. But here we're just talking about buyer agency. So that would mean that if we work together, I would be, unless dual agency arises, we'll cover that in a bit, I will 100% be representing your interest, just as if you and I were as one, or if I was buying the home. Okay. Do you understand that, Alex? Okay, great. Now, let me give you a deeper perspective of agency. Because of agency, the way that I handle it, I'm not going to ask you this afternoon, Alex, why are you moving? What your financial circumstances are, what your timetable is for buying, until and unless you ask me to represent you. Because I think that would be unethical. I don't know how other buyer agents, that's their business. But to me, that would be unethical, because I could end up representing another client that you're in a competition with. So again, that's how sacred I take agency. Time out for our audience here today, the wonderful people on the Zoom. I'll ask you this. How important is it for you to establish trust? Trust is under attack in the world. You have to establish immediate trust, and you can't say, oh, by the way, you can trust, just so you know, you can trust me. No, I mean it, Alex. I'm not just saying it. No, I really mean it. No, seriously. Oh, no, really, seriously. No, really. You can't say you can trust people. You can't say them. So that's a conundrum. You must be trusted, and yet you can't tell people they can trust you. You have to show them, and you better show them in a way. I'm proud that I came up with this, because I don't think there's another agent or coach in the industry that's ever had this thought, but I'm sharing it with you. I'm rewarding you for doing this on a Friday afternoon. Okay. So I'm not going to ask you until and unless you invite me to represent you. And that's wow. Another example of agency is this. The seller agent represents the home seller. The buyer agent represents the buyer. So everything's in reverse. So, for example, the seller agent will use a tool like ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. Here's why they use it, Alex. They use it because they want to do everything possible to present the home at its highest value. Because I'm a buyer agent, you may not think of this way. We're the only salespeople who have an ethical responsibility to sell what we sell for less money. Think about that. So therefore, I'll be using artificial intelligence to point out flaws in properties. I prompt ChatGPT, why would somebody not want to live here? Why would somebody not want to live in this town? Now, obviously, Alex, we don't want to use this against us because no home is perfect and no town is perfect. But just so you know, everything I will be doing is on your behalf as if I was buying the home myself. Now, the next day, as you can see here, is access, or here in the brochure, in the circle of value. The next is access. We're in a low inventory marketplace right now, okay? Only 2 to 3% of the homes on the market that exist here are on the market. So not only will I get you maximum access to all of the properties on the market, okay, I'll also endeavor to help you find and locate and potentially buy homes that are not on the market, okay? How does that sound? Alex, how does that sound? You're the buyer. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds like that's more than I expected.
And here's another great point, and I get this from Julie Vanderblue. And the other thing that access to my clients gives is this. I will be rescuing you from generic sites like Zillow and realtor.com that if you keep searching for property there, you're going to be monetized. You're going to become fodder for buyer agent auctions. You're going to give up your privacy and your dignity, okay? Because now all of the information you're going to need on homes on the market, you'll be getting access through my website. And then my CRM is set up where we retarget and remarket based on buyer preference. You'll have complete access to everything on the market. How does that sound?
Awesome.
Okay, you can see we haven't staged it. Okay, now that's a little joke, Alex. Okay, the next day is arrange. Okay, I have spent the last 25 years networking and creating collegial relationships with all of the listing agents. Okay, I have, in terms of, I'll make even sure after showings I'll turn up open house lights and stuff like that. I get that from Julie as well, and so I will basically I will be obsessed with arranging. And by the way, in terms of access, because you're out of town, I'll also be I'll be happy to do videos and this and that, virtual tours. So I will absolutely work relentlessly to arrange for appointments at your convenience. The next day is a prize and negotiate. In terms of a prize, I have made a science out of pricing in this marketplace. I also use artificial intelligence and predictive data, okay? And because of that, I'll be able to help counsel you in terms of pricing strategies. Now, let me say one other thing. Now, time out. This is to the audience. Remember when I talked about skills? Okay, the ChatGPT, that's a skill. I'm going to talk about another skill here. Most good buyer agents, Alex, will do what is called a buyer CMA. A CMA, though, is severely limited because a CMA only provides a fair market estimate of value. Everybody can do that, and you can struggle through that yourself. I also provide my buyer clients with a buyer MMA, a master merchandising analysis, okay? What that does is it will also show you when you're really zeroing in the property and you're getting ready to negotiate on it, I'll do an analysis on how you can maximize the value of the property once you own it. You see, Alex, I don't want you to just be looking at homes from a lifestyle perspective. I want you to be looking at properties also as an investment. We're in a globally coveted marketplace here And I've worked with people that have put like $100,000 into them and get $400,000, $300,000 back in terms of investment. So when we get to the point that you are really zeroing in on the property, would you also like me to do a merchandising market analysis before we start trying to buy the property? How does that sound?
Why not? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, you're killing me.
Before we move on, let's just check in with the audience here. So I mean, we talked about agency, we talked about access, we talk about a range, we talk about a price and negotiate. Let's hear some of your biggest takeaways so far. And are you enjoying this system?
Let's hear some reaction.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be shy, everybody. Let's hear your thoughts on this.
Like, for example, do you like the idea of saying, I'm not going to ask you personal, confidential information until we agree to work together? Why do you love that, Patty and Laura? Why do you love that thing of telling people this is so personal that you're not going to ask them for their personal information until you're representing them? Okay, anybody else? These are great comments. Who could say no is right? And by the way, stop me with what I'm saying is not the truth. See, I'm not inventing something. I'm not like creating ads. This isn't an ad. This is an ad agency. This is what you do. Do you believe that you and the client are as one? Do you think they all know that? No. Do you think you can give them access with protecting their privacy? That's not, that's a clever idea. No, that's not how I roll. That's what you do. That's where your value is. But does everyone know that? No. But do they need to know that if they're going to pay you a lot of money? Yes.
You know, I think what happens is we've been in the industry so long that sometimes we take for granted all the things that we actually do here. And like there's so much that we do, like the access and the negotiating and all of that.
Well, here's the thing, Alex. People have spent 50 years going over listing presentations. I want to help you the best price in the shortest period of time with listing your meeting. So how are you going to select an agent, whatever? They've gone ad nauseum. No buyer would ever want to hear this unless this changed. Buyers want to get out there. They don't have the tolerance to sit down and listen to a presentation for 10 minutes. Home sellers do. They're accustomed. Buyers aren't prepared for this. That's why you want to even make this more interactive. But let me go back to negotiate now. So negotiate, let me share with you my philosophy in negotiating, Alex, okay? I always believe that my clients have an advantage because you can look at a number of different homes and the seller is, not to be too unkind, but they're basically stuck with that home, okay? Now, answers, and I'll answer that one in a minute. Answers, I want to just complete this circle here. Answers, because otherwise people are going to think this is 30 minutes, and it isn't. Answers, okay, just so you know, it's very important in the information age that you get all the answers. I'm always available, figuratively speaking, 24/7. And I'll also get answers from the seller agent, from the seller, from the mortgage, from the this, from the that. Okay. So in other words, we have to be in constant touch to make sure that you have the greatest answers. Okay. Now, the next A is administration. Transactions, Alex, are more complicated than ever. They're more complex than ever. Now, by the way, I want to do a truth test. Does everybody here think that agency is important? I would hope so. Do you think it's important that you give access to properties? Check. Do you think it's important that you arrange appointments? Check. Do you think it's important that you apprise them of value? Check. Do you think it's important that you negotiate for them? Check. Do you think it's important that they know you're there to answer all their questions or you'll get the answers? Check. Do you think it's also important to them how you're going to manage the transaction, how you're going to administer it? Check. Now we're at that point. They're so complex that this is not the domain for amateurs. And over the years, our company has done thousands and thousands. Look at the great Ravers company, the one and only Bill Ravers. Somebody was that company. You've done tens of thousands of transactions. Bring that up. Our company has done tens of thousands of transactions. We've made a science out of seamless transactions. Although, Alex, I know that means nothing to you unless we get you the best result, but just so you know. And the last day, my favorite, Alex, is after the sale value. See, a lot of agents in my marketplace, they use the term my past clients. My clients never become my past clients. You become my clients forever, okay? I become your agent forever, for life in terms of that. And there's two things that I do for my clients. First of all, I create for my clients, I have a real estate and lifestyle planning guide here, Alex, because I find that a lot of people end up regretting not getting off real estate, buying and selling at the wrong time, and they don't maximize how they could do home improvements and make a fortune in their home. So I'm going to be emailing this to you. This is a guide on from renting to buying to moving up to downsizing to investing. Okay. I provide this to all of my clients. There's no obligation, but I'd like this just to be the beginning of a long relationship. So I'm going to send this. And the other thing I have here is I have my clients only home services directory. And these I have dozens of vendors, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, landscapers, service providers, medical people, legal people. Now, I can't guarantee any of them. I'm not, but I can vouch for all of them because they've all been vetted and they all want to make sure they not only please you, but they please me. In fact, Alex, this has been considered by a lot of people as like having a 5-year head start moving into town here. So I'm going to give this to you, even though I'm going to give this to you, my clients only home services directory. And I'm also going to be sending you my real estate planning guide. So we'll have a format. Okay. But I know I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's just talk about right now. So Alex, based upon the 7 A's of value of what we do, and by the way, all of you, you can put in your experiences of negotiating successes. You can make this more conversational, but I'm just trying to give you the framework, okay? And you can compare it to what you've already developed. And even if you think a little bit of this is helpful, then I'm happy you've joined us, okay? But some of you, then you can email me, you can get this in the book. You get all the links, okay? Also, on the listing side, let me take a stop right this and make a very important strategic point, Alex. The real estate industry is not strategic enough. We're more tactical. And I've been asking and I was never strategic growing up either. But I've asked realtors all over the country this question. When I have 1,000 in the room. By a show of hands, how many of you had a strategy when you were in high school or college that you were going to sell real estate? Raise your hands. 2 people will. Now, if there were 1,000 attorneys, you think more than 2 had a strategy in college? How about doctors? How about athletes? So we're not the most strategic. It has no relationship to intelligence. And so that's why people actually use the word listing presentation. Julie in the book, a case study, here's what she does. Because she uses my customized marketing system presentation, it led to her lifestyle stories. Everyone, this is in the book, the flip book, every single one of her listings is a 20-something page lifestyle story. Home improvements. What percentage of homeowners bring up home improvements? They all do. How many times do they end up in the brochure? Try never, okay? What they'll miss about the home. Oh, I asked that, Alan, but it's not in the brochure. Okay, home improvements. The top 10 things we'll miss about living in the home, okay? Home improvements, all of them, okay? An interview with the proud homeowners. See, every agent says this, oh, I don't sell real estate, I sell lifestyles, but that doesn't mean they've created lifestyle stories. So when Julie goes on a marketing proposal and she's asking the people, because that's interactive, just like the 7 A's, it's going to all be interactive and customized. So it's not like an ad agency. It's individual, it's personal, and it's based on substance and not BS. Okay, there's extra value. We're going to have the same value on the buying side. And so I just want to conclude that part by saying, I encourage you to put together something and create. And in the book, there's all different ways to show value in the presentation, the 4 C's that you have to do, how to gain immediate trust. There's a whole section on creating presentational value and engaging people and making it more interactive, which this isn't, because I'm not with any of you. Okay, we're not talking. Okay, and Alex is not a buyer, so this is just academic at this point in time. So that's the last thing I'll say in this. Everybody should put together, because here's what I see a lot of companies doing. They're going over all of the contracts. Oh, you can't get more fee than the buy-sell fee, or you can't offer compensation to the MLS, but you can do it to an email, or you can have a seller concession. Oh, and you've got to show value. Now you got to show value, but I haven't seen people take the time like I did for 5 months, and I'm not patting myself on the back, to forensically how to show value in every single aspect of buy value. Okay. And the last thing I'll say on the book, and this is I wish we had 1 million realtors on this because I like to influence all 1 million. Okay. Is at the end of the book, there's 320 pages on buyer agent value, case studies, scripts, emails, community videos, everything, you name it. But at the end, I spent 2 pages on the listings on the seller side. And here's what I have concluded. I've asked this for many years, Alex, around the country. I asked people, what do you call the people? Yes, they are. They're in the book. I asked people, what do you call the person in your marketplace, the agent who represents the seller? Do you know what everyone says? The listing agent. The listing agent, okay? The words listing agent is going to come back to hurt the industry more than it could ever imagine. And when we use the word listing agent, it makes the industry look like the Confederation of Dunces, okay? And here's why. A plaintiff's attorney represents the plaintiff. A defendant represents the defendant. A buyer agent, that's very clear. Shakespeare said, suit the action to the words and the words to the action. The buyer agent represents the buyer. That's so clear. I wonder who the listing agent represents. Oh, I get it. They represent the listing. Now, if I'm a buyer, who do I think has more information about the listing? The listing agent or the buyer agent? Why would I ever bother with a buyer agent? The industry is so stupid what it's doing. We should purge that expression forever because the listing agent sounds so welcoming. Why don't I just call the listing agent? That doesn't sound oppositional. That sounds inviting. That sounds welcoming. Okay? If there's not equal value on both sides of the transaction, and I'm not going to be in this business for much longer. I'm in the twilight of my career, but that's not the case for a lot of you. If the industry doesn't wake up and start doing these types of things in buyer agent, be aware. What's going to happen is this. Sellers are going to say, geez, the buyer agent didn't have an agent. The listing agent just helped them. Why do I need one? If there's not equal value, if they're getting divorced, you better get a good attorney because the inference is your spouse is going to have a good attorney. If you don't have a strong defense attorney, you don't need a strong prosecutor. The industry, this is a colossal mistake, and this isn't semantics. It must change. And there's hundreds of other things that agents should change. And that's why the people in this book who follow these teachings, Julie makes millions of dollars. The agent who's in here from California last year made $10 million. She's in here. There's a case study in her in luxury, but these are the outliers. When I meet these agents, the first questions I always ask is this: hey, do you need an assistant? But the point is this, okay? These are the changes that we have to do, Harry. And the last thing is this: you must put together. And in the book, there's all the exercises. How much value from 1 to 5? Is this something the buyer can do on their own? And then it causes you to make sure that you're doing everything possible to have a two-way conversation. You're identifying value, like the merchandising analysis versus just a CMA. There's not enough value there, okay? So you're not just making a advertising presentation. It's got to be real. It's got to be authentic. So that's my overview. And I know, and forgive me, Alex, you usually have more give and take, but I'm sharing what I did for 5 months in a very short period of time, and I'm trying to give as much value as possible.
Oh, that was freaking awesome. I mean, everybody, let me know if you're seeing value in this. Let us know. Put a 1 if you see value. Put a 2 if you don't see value. What I want to put there for everybody is, I put this together really quick while we were on the call, is if you text the word buyers to this phone number, and I'll put the phone number in the chat, 516-400-4161. Text the word buyers. It'll auto reply with the link to Allan's book. I think this book is gold for all of you. I mean, if you liked what you heard so far, that book is going to take it to the next level for you. And I've seen all the ones in here, Allan. Lots of love over here. People seeing the value in this. Text the word buyers to 516-400-4161. It'll automatically auto reply with the link to his book on Amazon. And what I'm going to do for all of you on this call, and Allan doesn't even know this, I brought the book, Allan, to my social media team, and I said, there's so much gold in this book. What if agents could actually share a social media post that talks about the 7A's or buyer's value? And every once in a while, they started sharing a little of this content online. So I actually put together a bunch of social media posts that any agent can use that brings in a lot of the things that you said in the book. I'm going to give that for everybody on this call that texts into that number. We'll reply with a link to those posts. You can use them for yourself. You can modify them, customize them. But this book is gold. Allan's words are gold. I'm so happy you're here addressing our community. This is the first. Go ahead, Allan. Floor is yours.
Thank you for that, and thank you everyone for the ones and for your kind attention, and thank you. I would also ask you to do this. Obviously, I'm not a coaching company. I'm a lone person here. I don't have a big distribution of presence. I'm not with any brand or any brokerage, okay? And the industry together can share fees and negotiate because that's a cabal. But people can share ways of expressing value, okay? And I would like to invite, for those of you that get the book, that like the book, when you get the book, post it on Facebook with yourself with a picture. If you want to do a video on it, if you want to send it out to people with links and stuff like this, okay? Because I'll tell you right now, there's certain things that I believe, and I don't want to sound too like delusionally grandiose here, but there's certain things the industry has to change. We should never again use the word listing agent. It should always be seller agent, because I'm less likely as a buyer to go to a seller agent. It's like me going to the defense attorney. Now, is that the magic pill? Oh, that takes care of that. Of course it doesn't. There's a lot of things that we're going to have to do, and we're going to have to create clients for life. Okay, that's why this whole thing with my real estate and financial planning system, people have one doctor, one dentist, one lawyer, and they've got 5 realtors. Because it's like somebody saying, I'd like you to be your financial planner, but I don't do any financial planning. Well, I'd like to be your agent for life. So I actually put together, I did this 30 years ago. Let me be a professional for life. Look at this. I would like to help you develop a real estate goals and a real estate plan for life. And I have just the system to do it. Okay. And then here's the system. So for those of you, you can email me if you want to follow up and I can help you with some of these programs, I will. But the whole industry, for example, years ago, there used to be life insurance agents. They had to evolve into financial planners. Now, I'm not saying no one's going to be a real estate financial planner, but we have to do more before the transaction. And when they're in the home for 10 or 12 years, we have to be doing merchandising analyses. I own the URL, Real Estate Trusted Advisor. A lot of people say I'm a real estate. That's not enough. We have to have programs. We have to have content. For example, I created this for one brand, and I've done it for others. At the open house, I have moving with pets. 71% of people have pets. I think they love pets more than they love realtors. So I have my agents at open houses moving with pets. Oh, by the way, do you folks have pets? Here you go with their contact information. And it's digital as well. Moving with children. Okay. Look at Julie Vanderblue. It's all in the book. The divorce and separation division. She's got all the attorneys. We have to go beyond the transaction. Everybody says that, but you have to have content. You have to have programs. We have to have solutions. And the fact that all of you have hung in here, 99.99% have stayed here. No one's dropped off in this whole hour. Okay. It shows me that you're into this. You're into this big time, and you deserve to have many more years of success. I think realtors, if anything, are underpaid. All the work that you do. And see, people don't realize this. They love Realtor.com. They like Zillow. Who do you think paid for Zillow? You did. Who paid for Realtor.com? You did. You paid hundreds of millions of dollars to make real estate so efficient. It's the 9th wonder of the world. Somebody can be having breakfast in Brussels and in 10 seconds get information on your listings. That's because of you, your sweat, your tears, on state commission. No salary, no 401ks, no pension plans. You're underpaid, if anything. We have to do more, though, to show value. So it's not listing presentations. It's not this. It's not that. And also in the book, check out doing community videos. I can help you do community videos that will blow your mind. This isn't like the 10-minute thing. I'm at the baker with the 90-second thing. I'm at the baker with Bob and talk about your bagels for social media. These are world class that you take over a town. That's what we have to do. I think it's going to be 5, Frank. I think it's going to be 5. But I love both teams. I love Kyrie and I love Luka. And obviously, I love the Celtics, as it was pointed out. I was drafted by them, but I can't love them completely. They cut me. Okay.
I love it. All right, everybody, let's hear your biggest takeaways from this session. We're coming up to the end here. It's 1:00. It's been a full hour with Allan. I love it. He's on fire. You're all on fire. Let us know your biggest takeaways, your biggest learning moments. What are things you're going to implement? What are you going to put into your business? I know Allan's doing this for all of you. He didn't write this book for the book sales. I know that.
No.
The $30 a pop ain't going to add up. It's
Exactly.
about the impact on the industry. And
No,
the
I
way he's
get
helping the industry.
the whole thing. I get like $5 a book. Okay.
Right.
And so it's
Exactly.
anyway. But hey, look, you get what you're worth. That's all I'm worth. What can I say? I used to make a lot of money, but
You
okay.
charge a commission. Charge a commission for
I'm an older man now. My value is greater when I work with. In fact, anybody that wants me to help them, I don't do coaching, but I'll do one consulting session for a couple of hours, and I'll help you transform what you're doing. Okay, if I get the time, if I can arrange it.
I love it. Mary says MMA. Mary Krause says, can't wait to get the book. Brian says, check out my community page.
805, here's my phone number, 805. You can text me, 805-338-8796.
805-338-8796.
Yeah, 805-338-8796.
I like it. Frank says, my girls ordered the book for Father's Day. My only want from them.
I love
Joe
it.
says, not about service. It's about skills, and treat your business like a professional practice, all about mindset.
But if I meet with any of you individually, I want to go over how you're promoting yourself, how you're positioning yourself. Okay, look at that. The best class
Nice.
I've been in 22 years. Oh my
Awesome.
God, that makes my day. But the only thing is that I can't kid with Lenore because she's young, but yeah, but she's been in the business for 70 years. Only kidding you. Okay, no. No, that's the nicest compliment I've ever received, Lenore. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome, Brian.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to drop the link to the book one more time in the chat for everybody. That's it right there. All right, any final words, Allan, before we go?
No, I just want to thank you first of all for being so progressive and so industry centric and helpful. Okay, and
Absolutely.
I think that no one comes out with a program or product that isn't evolutionary. You'd have to be an idiot. So anytime technology comes out, it's because there was a need and it didn't exist before. And that's exactly what you've done with Real Great. No one has identified a way for agents to be able to basically take their temperature immediately in terms of how they're coming across on all the social media platforms, because that also that becomes their roadmap of where they have to do more or less and focus more. So it's a practice that's based on metrics and intelligence and strategy and not anecdotal. Okay. And so that's why I think you responded to this latest research. And then I want to thank the most everybody who joined us on a Friday afternoon. God bless all of you and continue success.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here, Allan. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you, Mario and Katerina, for marketing the event and making it all happen. Love all the comments in here. Awesome. This will be the recording. It has been recorded. We will share it with everybody. For our influencers, this video will be shared in the influencer community as well. And this was awesome. I love the heart showing up. This is our first webinar where we got heart showing up. We got people taking action. Many people have bought the book. I love it. I love seeing this is an important subject for the industry. And, coming from, I really picked up on the conversations we had, Allan. It has transformed even the way that I speak to investors with our company. I think for us as technology providers, we're going through a pause period where people are trying to figure out what's going on in the industry. But what I'm seeing as I have these conversations is it used to be really important for sellers, or listing agents, as we called it, to have a strong online presence. And now it's going to be just as important for the buying side of the transaction, because it really truly is about the industry's professionalism and experience and expertise. And why I'm in this industry is because, like, people like my mom, she couldn't showcase that online, all the knowledge she had. Veteran agents who've been in the industry for a long time, they didn't know how to take what they had in the physical world, in the real world, and put it online. And I think that's really the shift that's happening.
One other thing, Frank just posted about his Leafs. Hey, Frank, I go all the way back to Dave Keon winning all those Lady Byng trophies. How's that?
I love
But
it.
but do you remember Dave Keon? Ever hear of him? Anyway, all right.
Awesome. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Thanks you. Have a great weekend. Have a happy Friday, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate you.
God bless. Thank you.